Wednesday, January the 18th. As promised, I will be recording these sessions just to help those of you who can't make it in class, or for a good review afterwards to go over some of the technical stuff we cover during the lessons. All right, so having said that, I welcomed everybody this evening. We're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to post these videos after on a channel that I will create and give you access to a previous channel that was built the same way to assist the students. So I'm going to just share my screen here. Right, and if some of you can log in, I want you to click on that link to tell me if it's working okay, just to get an acknowledgement from you. Give me a quick thumbs up. Any one of you can do that right now. That means click on this link right here, open up Teams, and go through the test of it working. I can see already Rod. Where's Rod? Thank you, Rod. Very good. Okay, so Rod, you get the screen. Everything good. And the echo is because if you turn the microphone on, that's what happens. Excellent. So here we are. This is class number 2. Now, it was expected of me to know that you didn't have the software last week because it is the first day. Although even if I announced it, a lot of times people it's the first week. You're not going to go through all the hustle to get things going. So it was a good way to just kind of warm you up and tell you about the course. Today, we actually start learning the software. So we are going to start with Adobe Illustrator, all right? And this is how we're going to start the modules, as I did explain to you last week. Just make sure this thing is... So just a quick overview here. Everything that you need to access on the course is, just like every other course, is located in your Blackboard. You can go through your course outline and critical paths. For those of you that don't have the software, I did give you the actual Creative Cloud application info. This is vital for you to go, to get the software for this class and future classes as well. I know I spoke with my colleagues like Felice will implement XD in his UX UI class. You will need that software as well, which is part of this great package. Next semester, you're going to be learning motion graphics and motion design in After Effects and maybe Premiere. Those 2 programs also are included in this bundle as well. So you're going to get all these wonderful programs for that low price. It's a really, really good deal. Okay, so take advantage of the offer. One more reminder, I know I mentioned it earlier, make sure you log in with your Humber email credentials, otherwise it won't work. You're gonna have problems logging in and the program won't download for your computer. Okay, so make sure that's all taken care of. And moving forward, we do have the main projects. I'm gonna assign to you the application banner to you very shortly. That's the first big project for every module. So you have like call it the exam. I'm not going to give you guys exams because these are practical application technical classes. We're doing creative work, right? We're here to have fun and be creative and do a lot of interesting things with the programs. So for me to give you a boring exam, like a written exam, it doesn't make sense. So what we usually do at these creative college levels, we give you like bigger projects. We'll give you assignments, exercises, and bigger projects. The only time I used to give a test was when I taught Intro to Mac and PC, and I would like test people on the computer and things like that. But not necessary for you to get your exam because that's pretty much what that is, the main project. All right, then you have the Illustrator module. This is where we're gonna organize some folders going forward. This is your first assignment, as I did go over it last week. Let's go over it one more time really quickly because this time I'm recording this. So your first assignment is to be designing your very own Wordmark logo. I did show you some samples last week. I'm going to go over some samples again this week. The whole idea is for you to learn the program and how important it is to create an actual brand design logo for a corporation or for an individual. This is what many creative artists do in Illustrator. That's a good way to get you started on something small, but something very interesting and powerful as you design a logo, something that's iconic. And you can see around you, when I drive to work this evening, everything's kind of more lit up at nighttime. It does look nice. And I see a lot of logos and brands everywhere, colors. This is what companies thrive on. So this is your opportunity to make something on that level and have some fun with it too, okay? It requires a lot of research, maybe some thumbnails, some brainstorming, so I'm going to also encourage you to do that also. There's obviously a lot to consider when branding a logo for a big corporation. Therefore, this is a simplified version, so you can focus primarily on the digital design creation to reach such vector results. Good luck and have fun. So if you want to give me your thumbnails and drawings, I will gladly accept them. But because this is more like a technical assignment, I'm going to do most of the stuff in Illustrator. All right, so this is how we're going to lay it out. We're going to create a business card today in class. So we're going to make it 3.5 by 2 inches, right? And we're also going to use more than 2 solid colors, like RGB color, right? 2 different fonts. And Illustrator format is the one we're going to be submitting as the final, okay? So make sure you get all these things all sorted out. So here's all the project or assignment details there. If you just put a logo like that on an artboard, it's gonna look kind of weird. But if you put on a business card format, it has a criteria this way. It has like a finished size. It's a nice statement. Even though we're all digital now, people still want printed business cards. Right? I showed you some business cards last week, so that's the same thing we're gonna do. All right, so any questions about this? Have any of you done a logo before? Some of you have graphic design backgrounds, very good. So now is just another opportunity for you to do another one now. If you think there's a company out there, like an existing logo or a corporation that you want to redesign their logo, that's fine too. Look at Pepsi. Pepsi changes their logo every 10 years. Right? A lot of companies do brand changes a lot of times. So that is a normal thing. For some it's not, and for some it is. Some have like branched off different variety of logos or corporations that they kind of simulate and have other versions of the logo. So just quickly, logos or just logos. Some of the more popular iconic ones. These are not wordmark logos. They're more like iconic logos. Maybe like Louis Vuitton with the LV. A lot of them use the 2 letters intertwined. A lot of the fashion brand designers do that. Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Calvin Klein, Versace. They all use similar things, right? And if you look at some of the more popular ones, the iconic logos, they're kind of mixed up too, right? So the wordmark logo is when you use typography in conjunction with the icon. These are the wordmark logos would be considered the ones on the left. As you can see, Coca-Cola, Adidas, Google. This, if you show this to someone from a different planet, they won't know what the heck this is. What is that, mermaid? No, it's Starbucks. We know it's Starbucks, but they don't. Or Facebook or Apple. Those are icons. Amazon, Nike, McDonald's. Those are wordmark logos. I want you to take it to the next level. So you're going to design something and appropriate in conjunction with the logo and the wordmark together. Okay, so it's not just the icon, because I won't know what that is, right? Especially if it's a company that we're not familiar with. So it's always a good way. Like when you get really big, then you can go with the icon. People know exactly who you are. But when you're first starting out, or when you're not as big on that level, the wordmark logo is more effective. Here's some more iconic logos. Okay. You can see all of these are huge multi-billion-dollar corporations. So they can do something like that. Because when they sell products or services, their logos are stamped right on it. Okay, and that's how they identify themselves. So do your research, figure out what you like. And my job is to teach you a lot of different type of techniques to get this done. I don't want you to stumble upon a question saying, how do I do that? And usually you shouldn't, because the logos are very simple, but some of them do require a little bit of skill, the skill that I'm going to teach you how to apply by creating these kind of things. All right. So enough said. I'm sure I sold you already on the logos. They're everywhere, in front of you, behind you, in your bag. So let's make one ourselves now, right? So I'm going to close this down. Let's open Illustrator. We're going to do this together. By the way, this assignment is due. Is it next week? Let's aim for next week, okay? If you still need more time, because I know last week was the introduction class, I might give you an actual extension for a few days. Maybe I'll give you till the weekend. Did I say that quietly enough? I'll give you like a 3-day extension so you can submit on Sunday. Just so I give you a little more time. Because it's not fair, you just got the software today, basically, right? Let's just say that. So I'll make that adjustment here. Let's do it now so I don't forget. So instead of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can cancel your Super Bowl. Well, it's not Super Bowl yet. Your football plans, and submit this of a midnight on a Sunday. Okay, that gives you more time to give us some good thought process and get it finished. So you have till the end of the month, basically. Okay. All right. So I just changed that adjustment there, and now let's go ahead and I want you to download this folder here called Logo Exercises. And I'll save it onto the desktop. There's another one called Logo Challenge 1. That's I'm going to challenge you to recreate an existing logo, know how to apply the proper techniques to get things done. I'm teaching you guys the most powerful program in the planet, the most powerful drawing program, Adobe Illustrator. So I want you to feel that much more confident when you make these things, okay? So that's why this logo challenge is my favorite lesson, because this one really teaches you a lot. It's not just one lesson. This will be an ongoing thing until we finish the whole half of the semester. So keep this on your desktops or on your computers for weeks to come. And next week, you'll probably see I'm going to create a folder called Class 1 and 2. I'm going to amalgamate the two, and then I'll make 3, 4, 5. It's going to be more structured when we get things happening, okay? But for now, just follow my instructions. And the next week, we'll do the Android logo. Okay, so that's going to be a very interesting approach as well. The sun gradient is going to be more advanced. So don't worry about these for now, okay? And then we'll get into some other stuff after. Okay. Just going to double check my recording here. So far, it's looking good. So if you want to extract the logo exercises item, it'll open a folder. In that folder, you have a variety of logo exercises. Okay, some of them that we're going to do today. Actually, all of them. Okay. And this logo challenge is something that we're going to be starting probably next week. It'll be an ongoing thing. And yes, this will be another challenge for you to create the Olympic rings logo. Looks simple, but not quite, because they're all intertwined. How do you make the rings link to one another? Right? So that's an interesting one. Kind of advanced, but you'll be ready for that. So let's look at this folder here. This is the first thing we're going to start with. Is like the MasterCard logo. Very important. Knowing how to work with multiple objects at the same time. Then we'll do like a different format with objects and typography. How to do like a knockout minus subtraction type. Some other font options and formats. How do you get custom fonts installed on your system and applied on your creative design? So we're going to do things like that. How to do more advanced transitions and transformations. Like how do you put type on a path? How do you do a double edge stroke? Like for a lot of the sports jerseys, if you guys watch football or soccer or basketball, a lot of the athletes wear numbers where they have like a double stroke. And that's part of a logo sometimes as well. Stuff like diminishing shadows and gradients, skewing, transforming, rotating. and amalgamation of different letters together, like combining like the Louis Vuitton or the New York Yankees or the San Diego in this case. How do you put the two letters together and how do you make them kind of coexist and stuff? All right, and of course I have some other examples as well. So once you know how to do all this on your own, you should have a lot of options in terms of applying your skill to something that you want to make. So let's start first with the software, and then I'm going to take you through the steps of getting this done. So I'm going to see everybody open Illustrator. I'm going to walk around in momentarily. I'm going to come and look behind you. So I'm going to open the program as well. I want to make sure everyone's on point. You open Illustrator, it'll take us a few moments and stuff. Good? Well, excellent. Good. We're working together today. You learn more when you're here and doing it with me together, okay? I'm doing this for 20 years, so I know what works. If you're just watching me, you're not going to learn that. You have to do it with me, okay? Yes. So did you log in with your Humber email? All the time. Otherwise, it won't know it's you basically. So you have to log out and log in with your Humber. So that's for everyone. This always happens. I always get like a good handful of people that log in because it's a habit. I do it too. I log in with my Gmail and some software. Some I use my other email accounts. So make sure you use the Humber email for this all the time. Okay. So we're going to start off with a business card right off the bat. So we're going to create a new file. As you know, you can do many things in Illustrator here. When you go new file, it'll give you a lot of options. You want to create a mobile device app icon set, or maybe some kind of prototype, which you will be doing that in the UX class. Are you going to create like a website, like a wireframe for a website, or perhaps even a website design? But then you can implement in HTML and CSS and make it a real website. Or do you want to make like a print design of some type, like a restaurant menu or a business card or something that we're going to make today, like a business card, like I said earlier? You want to do like titles for film or video? Or do you want to do some art and illustration, just having some creative fun with the software? Or do you want to browse some templates that they want to sell you, which I don't recommend because you're going to make your own. There's no reason to pay for this stuff. So let's go back to print, because ideally when we create this business card and this logo to print, we can easily then transfer it for screen, for a website, or a letterhead, for anything else. So you always start with the high quality first. So print it is. We're going to change the units to inches. And how big is the actual business card size? Anyone? How big is a credit card size? A credit card and a business card are the same size. Notice how when you buy a wallet, they're all standard. All business cards and credit cards fit perfectly in your wallet. Why do you think that is? Because everything is set up like that. It's like a template. So business cards and credit cards are the same size. So what size is that? What's 3.5 inches in width and 2 inches in height? So 3.5 by 2 is your standard business card size. You can print this card at Staples, used to be Kinko's and other printers, and really pay like very cheap to print it because it's standard. If you do anything bigger or smaller, they'll charge you more money because now they have to cut the paper for you. If you go with the default setting, you can go to Vista Print and get cards for like 30, 40 bucks, right? So stick with the 3.5 by 2 inches format, and that should be good. if you really, really want to print this business card, you should consider adding a bleed. A bleed is what I talked about yesterday. When you print right to the edge of the card, you have a solid color. You can increase that by 1/8 of an inch. What's 1/8 of an inch in decimal point? Decimal 125. Because 125 plus 125 equals 0.25. And 0.25 is 1/4 of an inch. And 1/4 of an inch bleed is what the industry requirement is. So not to bore you with this number stuff, don't worry about it. You don't have to remember this. But just so you know, every time you set up a job like this, you type in, you just go up with the arrow and you'll get 0.125. I just typed up with the arrow with the direction key. Or you can just type it in. Decimal 0.125, and that's top, bottom, left, and right. Might as well show you this. I mean, if we're doing a business card, why don't you know, make sense to teach you a proper way to set one up, because you might want to really print this at Vista Print or Staples and get a proper job handed in. So this is how you set up any business card for print. Then you can use it for web and digital stuff as well. CMYK color, that's preferred when you do printing, so we're going to stick with that. And we're going to do a raster effect high 300 dpi. So if you want to screen capture this information, if I were you right now, I'd be screen capturing this stuff. I'd be pressing Command-Shift-3 or 4 and make a selection of this area. Because you're going to ask me later, hey, what size was that business card? Now, I did specify the same size in your handout on Blackboard. Remember, I typed in business card size, 3.5 by 2. So it's a good reminder there. But if you want to screen capture these settings here, you can do the same thing. So let's go ahead and create. And there's our business card size. Now we got AI everywhere. Even in Illustrator, you can generate artwork in AI. Not too impressed though, because it looks like really poorly executed clip art sometimes, and most times it looks okay, depending on how you prompt it, what kind of search you're looking after. Right? Does it keep doing this all the time? There. If the technician comes, I'm just going to bother him just to make sure my stuff doesn't keep interrupting me like this. Now that's a pretty big business card. You know why? Because I'm zoomed in. So if I zoom back out, this is a 100% view. 100% view. Let's see. Now, based on the projector, that's a little bit projector, but that's how a business card looks. Exactly, almost 100% view. Now, that doesn't mean you have to work in this view, but just so you can gauge it based on comparison, you can do that. I'm going to press Control or Command plus to zoom in nice and close so we can see the business card in full size. And we're going to be designing our card right here. Now let's get comfortable first. So spacebar gives you the hand, and you can pan the document up and down, right? Hi there, my projector keeps cutting out every like 5 minutes. Is there a way I can keep it going without being interrupted? You can interrupt me, that's fine. It just goes black and I have to wait again. Hit the Teams button.
I'm not too sure what's going on with that. It shouldn't actually be cutting out on you.
Well, it's just here, and then I have to just press it again every 10 minutes. Is there like a timeout or timer or something, or no?
There might be if the screen itself is potentially going into a sleep state. Is your screen going off at all, or
I'm
no?
constantly working
No?
with it, yeah.
Interesting. Because usually, yeah, if that's disconnecting, it's generally because it's not getting a signal anymore from the.
It's like a timeout mode, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe something. That's weird.
Okay, that's okay. I'll just keep going for now. Maybe later, if you have time, you can take a look.
Yeah, we'll have a look at it.
Okay,
and see.
hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yes.
What's your name?
It's Tanya.
Thanks, Tanya. Okay. So get comfortable first, right? Zoom in, zoom out. Spacebar gives you the hand tool, right? Always, if you're an Illustrator, it's a digital drawing program. It functions as like a selector mode. So you got to always click on shapes and objects. If you've used Microsoft products like PowerPoint, very similar. You just click on the objects that you're selecting, because that's why it's called object oriented. You should always be in this darker black arrow tool. That's your main selection tool. If you press V on the keyboard, that's your shortcut to select the arrow tool. There's another one. It's like a lighter gray arrow tool. That's the object or the anchor point selection tool. Just as important, but more importantly, this is the one we're going to use for today. So just remember, that's your main selection tool. I really prefer when they were side by side. Right now, they kind of move them like this. So the one that you want to select always is on the second column, second row. Now make sure this is set up this way. If you have this set up, you're going to have a little bit of trouble, because then you're not going to communicate with me quite clearly. I'm going to tell you something and you might click on the wrong tool. You can't even see the stroke and the fill. So please take my advice, keep this to 2 columns, just so we can see the stroke and the fill clearly. Yes. What's side by side? See. Oh, you guys have a more simplified interface version. Thank you for showing me that. So here's what we should do right away then. That's like preschool version, okay? I'm kidding. Because it's got like really limited tools. You're gonna have to go to Window, Workspace, and everybody click on Essentials Classic. I like Essentials Classic because it gives you everything in a very simplified way, and you can see everything properly. So let's do that, everyone, and I can kind of. Even if Essentials Classic is the same. That's okay, as long as you got more tools now. I think it's the same. But let's see what version you have. Maybe I have to update. Mine is 2024. Are you guys 23 or 24? I haven't updated. But I'll be honest with you, I prefer your version. I don't like how I don't know why they would. So regardless, that's not a big, it's a really minor thing, okay? Everybody has that? Okay. Maybe it's the version that they're giving you from these. Go to Illustrator for a second. 23, right? That's fine. If that's the only difference, we'll have no issues with the software. If there's more like, interface differences, then we'll have a. Good. Okay, so just so we know, our selection tools are located a little different. Unless I go to let's go to my 2021 layout. That's the same thing. Yeah. Okay. But you have the 2 columns, correct? Do me a favor, go to Window, Workspace, and you can put New Workspace. Put your name on this one, so you can always change different workspaces later. You go to New Workspace, call it your name. So I'll call mine Milo's Workspace. And then you can see here I saved my workspace up here. Later, you can just quickly acquire that workspace by selecting it. Just by going here and giving it a name. New means save. We just changed the wording around. Before it was called Save Workspace. Now it's called New Workspace, because when you create a new workspace, it's automatically saved as a workspace. So that's just how they change the terminology around a bit. Okay, good. So I'm just going to refer to this tool here as the main selection tool, and that one gives you a quick, if you just hover the mouse, it shows you how it works, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use it to create some objects right now. So look for the rectangle shape tool, okay? And there, if you hold the mouse, there's a lot of other subcategory tools. Like you have the rounded rectangle tool there, you have the ellipse tool, polygon, all kinds of interesting tools. Let's stick with the rectangle, and let's draw a rectangle on the screen. And draw another one and another one. See, you can draw rectangles all day if you want, but eventually you're going to come to a stop and say, well, now what do I do? Well, now you go to the selection tool and select the rectangles and move them around. Move the rectangles around. Get familiar with the interface. And maybe then I want you to change the colors of the rectangle. So this one, for example, at the forefront, I'm going to go up here, or just go to your swatches. There's your swatches here. You can pick colors from here, right? Or you can pick colors from up here, right? Same thing. These programs have like 3-4 ways to do one thing. It's not to confuse people. It's more of a preference thing. So you can pick the color from here, from there, whichever way you like. I'm just going to show you a simple way, so you don't have to always look for ways to do it. This one, I'll paint it a different color. And this one will be also a different color. So I got 3 different colors selected, right? So let's do object basics for those of you that never ever worked on a drawing program before. And then of course we'll take it to the next level, right? So first I want to make sure we can communicate, like me giving you instructions and you following those instructions and adding colors to your shapes. I also want you to maybe change the stroke. The stroke is the border of the shape. So for example, this is how you do it. You got the fill on the left side, you get your stroke on the right side. So this one I'll change it to like an orange, maybe like a yellow stroke. This one I'll change it to like this one I'll leave it black. Okay, so I got different strokes, different fills. If you click on each and every shape, you'll see the indicator showing you what exactly you're selecting. So this tells you, hey, we got a fuchsia fill with a yellow stroke. If you click on this one, it'll give you the current status as well. So this way you keep track of what's happening in your environment. So you can click on whatever and get all the information right there. Okay, very good. These are the fundamentals. You draw, you fill. Now look, you can resize. If you grab the corners, you can resize these objects just like that. You can control only the height. You can do a vertical resize. You can do a horizontal resize. Or you can do a corner, which does both at the same time. Any corner will do. Some programs only limit you to the bottom right corner, like Canva and some other programs. Illustrator goes all out. It's the most advanced program on the planet, so you can do pretty much anything, any way you see fit. Back in 2016, you know what happened? This happened. You can click on these little circles and round the rectangles. Wow. I said to myself, it took you guys 15 years to figure that out? Because it did. Like, to do that, you have to use like elliptical shapes and unify them and do all these kind of tricks, like 5 steps to get this done. Now you can just do that and round your corners. And now most programs can do that just as easily. So a lot of changes happen with updates and versions and stuff, which is good. But for the most part, Illustrator is still, a drawing program. And even if I taught you like Illustrator 15 years ago, you can still do the same stuff we're doing right now. It's just there's different, more innovative ways to create some of these techniques and to generate them. All right. Now, the next thing I want you to do is learn how to object orient. Like, I want you to send this object to the back of the other 3 objects. So how do we do that? So if you right click and you go to arrange is at the bottom. You can go to send to back. You can tell I barely use this menu because I use shortcuts. This is important. You should learn the shortcut affiliated to do this a lot faster. Because a lot of times you're going to send this to the back, or bring this to the front, or vice versa. So if I go send all the way to the back, actually, if you go send backward, it goes 1 step. You see? Let me press Command or Control Z. But if I go send to back, it goes all the way to the back. You see? My shortcut is this: Control Shift. Those squiggly brackets in JavaScript, square brackets. Left one is to the back. The right one is to the front. If you press Control that bracket, like watch this, Command See? Or Command Shift all the way to the back, all the way to the front, right? Quick way to object orient your shapes. I'll teach you the important shortcuts. Like, there's shortcuts for everything. I'm not going to overwhelm you by teaching you every shortcut out there, but the standard stuff like copy and paste, you know, group, ungroup, arrange back and front, those are important shortcuts. Zooming in, zooming out, like Command, Control plus, Control minus, holding the space bar. This is the stuff that makes you more proficient in using the software. Without these shortcuts, you won't be as kind of in tune with the environment. Okay, so now that we know the important fundamentals of arranging objects, coloring them, adding strokes and fills, let's now see what else Illustrator is really special for. I'm just going to resize this a tad bit like that. I'm going to move this over here, right? Right. So I got three shapes here. What Illustrator is really, really good at is basically grouping objects together. So what you want to do is this. How do you select all three at once? So one way to select all three objects is you select one, hold Shift, click on the next one, and the next one until all three are selected, and then you move them around. Like you would select files in a folder on your Windows or Mac operating system. Another way to do it is by drawing a bounding box like this. Watch. Click and drag the mouse to select a bounding selection. As long as you touch them a little bit, they select. I know in Microsoft, you have to basically drag the selection all the way. You got to surround them for them to be selected. Not in Illustrator. Illustrator is a very sensitive technique. You literally have to do this. Watch. You just have to catch them a little bit, and they get selected. I kind of like that better. Once they're all three are selected, you can then right-click, and here's another shortcut I'll throw at you, Command G for group. So if you go to group, these items now become part of a group, basically. You can also use the shortcut, or you can use Control G or Command G, and then if you deselect them now, you no longer have to be concerned about multi-selections. You can just go click and drag, and they both move together. Both, I mean all three. And if you resize them, they'll resize together as well. But make sure you hold Shift when you resize. If you don't hold Shift, the proportion gets distorted. So if I just don't hold Shift, look, you could just do whatever you want, right? Which is not good for images. You might distort them. Then it looks like stretched. So you want to make sure you hold Shift to constrain the transformation. This is also the same law in Photoshop, the same rule in Illustrator. You hold Shift to keep the proportions. You have to hold Shift or no? Because I know the new programs you don't. It just does it automatically. Right? Okay, very good. So we know the fundamentals again. We kind of went a little further. Grouping. How do you ungroup? What do you think the shortcut is to ungroup something? Used to be Command U. That messed me right up when they changed it to Command Shift G. And yes, you're right. Command Shift G. It used to be Command U. Ungroup. Command G was group. I don't know why they would change that. But who am I to argue with the developers, right? So it's Command Shift G to ungroup. So if you press that and you deselect, now they're free again. Okay. But see, I want to show you something very important. And this is all the stuff in the beginning that I'm teaching you, the fundamentals and the important stuff. Because once you grasp this foundation, it's easy to learn the fancy things later. Then you'll have a more grounded knowledge of the program, and you will know exactly how to execute, all right? So what I want you to do is group them again. Look, select them all again, okay? Do the group, Command G, deselect, reselect, do the test, okay? That's good, they're grouped. What happens is when you're new to the program, you might accidentally like double click. How many times has that happened to you? It happens to me too sometimes. You double click, here's what happens. You double click, now you're in what's called isolation mode. That means now you're like, hey, I thought they were grouped. What happened now? You double click, you enter the group. Now you're inside the group. You see? Right? And you can easily mistakenly do that by accident. Do it on purpose, it's different, then you know what you're doing. But because you can do this to edit the group without ungrouping the group. Make sense? You can enter the group, make the changes, and then exit. So let's make some changes. Let's switch this with this key. See the little switcheroo key I'm using here, the little arrow that switches the stroke and the fill, right? And let's exit now. How do you exit? You press escape, or you click on this little arrow here at the very end, whatever you want. You press escape. Now the group is edited, and you exited the group. See, you can tell by looking at the top left corner, a clear indication of where you are. So if you don't accidentally do this, and trust me, this happens all the time, you double click, and you're like, hey, what's happening? It looks different because you're inside the group. You go even further. You can double click on this and go inside the rectangle, and I think that's as far as it goes. This is a common mistake I see people do in the program, and they do it by accident. They double click, or they click too many times, and that's how they do it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, press escape again. Then click away. Because it was, but interesting though, because it was selected, it assumed that you're still in that mode, right? Interesting. See, this is the tedious stuff. What was your name again? Samira. So what happened with Samira was she had this selected, and she pressed escape, and then she went to move the object, and it still did this on her. You know why? Because she had it selected. What I told her was deselect. Basically, when something's just click away, and then the group is still the group. So just make sure there's no leftover selection, basically, right? Okay, this is, like I said, not to bore you with the simple stuff, but it's very important stuff. If you don't know this stuff here, you're gonna have a lot of problems later knowing how to group objects, how to merge objects, how to isolate objects, how to delete objects, that kind of stuff. This is why I'm covering the fundamentals right now. So now we get to have some more interaction with these objects. Go ahead and press delete. That's how we clear everything off our plate. What colors do you got there? I got yellow and pink or something. Can we reset it back to default? You know what the default is? Just press D on the keyboard. D for default. Makes it white and black, right? Any questions so far? If you get stuck, I know I do my quick glances here and there. In case I don't make it all the way to the back, please let me know. I'd be happy to go over there and get some, you know. Yes. Just the tools, yeah. It just defaults the tools to black and white. And that works in Photoshop, InDesign, in Illustrator. It clears the default black and white. Then you got your, you know, the colors come later. Okay. You can go Control Z back. What do you want to go back for? Or just for undo? Yeah, undo is Control Z. Yeah, Control Z is undo. Control Z. Illustrator has unlimited Control Z. Do you know that? What's your name? Vivek. Vivek just asked me, what will Control Z? So if you do Control Z, and Illustrator is known for that even back in the day. Watch this, Command Z for me. See that? I'm keep pressing Command Z. As long as the memory is there, it'll go back. Now, if I turn off the program and restart it, Command Z is done. There's nothing to remember. If you restart the computer, that's why it's called random access memory. It's done. It restarts itself. So that's why, you know how your control. Oh, by the way, what's the opposite of Control Z? Command Shift Z. No. It should be though, right? It's Command Y, I think. So Command Y is going. Oh no, never mind. My bad. It is. What the heck is it? Redo. Oh, Command Shift Z. You are right. Command Shift Z. Yes. It is Command Shift Z. I was pressing the wrong key, but it's not working for some reason for me. Let's see, Command Shift. Yeah, for me it's not working. Anyways, what's more important is going back. Command Z. Going forward, I mean, you can always go back and forth. Now, let me see if there's a. Oh yeah, there's the history. So yes, there's a history palette, guys. This answers all your. You guys know Back to the Future is coming back, the movie. You guys know Back to the Future with the DeLorean. I was at Universal Studios 2 weeks ago, and I was actually touching the car and using Back to the Future, the DeLorean. I made a joke to my friend, I'm gonna go back in time, right? This is exactly what that is. It's the time machine. So guess what? You can go all the way to step 1, step 2, step 3. You can go through history. Wish you had that in real life, right? That'd be nice. So window, history. If you open up the history palette, it's better than Command Z, Control Z, Command Shift Z. You can literally go back and go through any steps you want. You can even take a snapshot and start a new document from that state. This is good for experimenting, for trying different things. I'll be honest with you, the history palette wasn't always around in Illustrator. It came out after, and I barely use it. Like it's good to know it's there and to use it, but when you kind of zone into Illustrator, you tune in, you know, you're in control, you save different versions of your work. I think you rarely will use the history panel unless you're really dwelling into different decision making. Okay, so let's again delete all these shapes. Press D for default. Now that we covered all the basic shapes and stuff, now the rounded rectangle tool, I don't think it should even have a place there because we saw how easy it was to make a rounded rectangle from a rectangle, right? But they still left it there for whatever reason, that's fine. You have the ellipse tool. This one's interesting. It draws circles. You have the polygon tool, the star tool, and the flare tool, which is stay away from it. It'll crash your computer. Like, I mean, really, here, this is what it does, okay? If you want to make some kind of flare designs, right? So don't worry about the flare tool, unless you really like it and you want to do something with it. All right, so let's go to the elliptical shape tool, the ellipse tool. If you don't hold shift, it's going to give you an egg. If you do hold shift, it's going to give you a perfect circle, a diameter of a circle, right? I want you to fill this circle with a dark orange red. So under the colors here, you're going to pick on this dark orange red. How do we know it's the right red I'm telling you? How do you communicate color? So the printing industry has what's called a Pantone system. We use the Pantone system to communicate color. You're not going to tell someone in Germany to print dark blue, okay? You're going to tell them, I want Pantone D764, and they know what color exactly that is. Coca-Cola uses a Pantone color, what was it again? I can't remember the number. But it's their corporate color. And guess what? It's patented, so you can't use that color. If a competitor uses the Coca-Cola color, they can get sued. So all these corporations have their Pantone colors. TD, Royal Bank, Scotiabank, CIB, all the corporations have Pantone colors, right? Because they want their brand to be consistent. When you print something, especially across seas, a different country, different continent, the color is the same. So how do you communicate color like this? Well, if you go to the color here, one easy way to communicate is with the RGB value. There's also CMYK value, because my red is cyan is at 0, magenta's 90, yellow's 85, and black is 0. That's the exact red that I'm using. You can match your values, my values, and make sure we have the same color. This is not Pantone. Pantone is different. It's a spot color that you select from the palette. I'll show you that another time. I don't want to get into technical stuff yet, but that's just how important colors are from a corporate brand standpoint. So it doesn't matter if you have the same color, but kind of make sure it looks like that. We're going to click OK. Now here's the ultimate. You can either do this, Command C or Control C, Control V to copy and paste the object. What I like to do in Illustrator, my favorite move, is to select the object, hold the Option or the Alt key if you have a Mac or PC, and just simply move it aside like that. And that'll make an actual duplicate in the direction that you're moving it towards. So basically, I just copied it to the right. Yeah.
When would you use a hex code in color?
Oh, hexacode for the website. Yeah, so good question. What's your name?
Luis.
Louis. Louis just asked me when to use the hexacode for the website. So I'm going to tell Louis, if Louis is doing a logo for the website and he wants to match like the banner or maybe the footer or some other CSS elements, then what I'm going to tell Louis is to come here, right, and copy this hexacode code. If you copy EF4136 and you go to HTML and you put it into the background color tag or the CSS color attributes, you're going to get the exact color for web. Yeah, so you can use Illustrator to copy and paste that color into HTML. You can even
use that instead of like RGB.
You can use RGB too. I mean, the browser, like back in the day, we just stuck with the hexacodes. Now you can use RGB equivalent. There's so many colors in the internet now. There's even like, you guys know the website for the colors too? Online, you can go and mix colors and stuff, color palettes. But Illustrator, that's how you communicate, okay? And there's only web colors. It's kind of more strict with older browsers, but I hardly use that now, especially 2024. There's no need for that. Okay, this copy that we have, this one I want it to be this orange color, okay? So we have one orange, one red circle. All right. These two circles are now connected. Hey, do me a favor, select both of them and don't group them, just resize them and do this. Right? If you want to group them, you can. You can just go right click, group, right? And then just go like this, Option drag, right? And you can select both of them, Shift select, Option drag. Can I, this is again, the communication we're having. The arrow that I want you to use for you, it's this one. For you, it's that arrow, okay? And notice right now, like that's your arrow. For me, this arrow is over here. I wish it wasn't, but that's how it is. So please use the top left corner black arrow to select your objects. Look how quickly we're doing things in this program. I mean, if it's your first time using it, it's flawless, right? Just on the side note, to show you how amazing this program is, I mean, look, you can easily go like this, make like a pattern. See this? Look, Option drag. You don't have to do this, just watch me. Command D, like step and repeat. Okay, then grab these ones here, Option drag, Command D, Command D, Command D. Like you can basically duplicate shapes and step and repeat commands to get things done. You can do checkerboard, patterns, textures, whatever you want, just like that. Now we're not doing patterns yet, so I'm just kind of throwing you a curveball here. But it all comes down to you knowing how to Option drag the shapes. Option drag. Because if you press Command D, watch this, or Control D, it'll repeat the step. I love this feature about the program. I love it so much that I think I've used it for almost any purpose out there that I've used Illustrator for. Production, now we're doing web production in this class. I'm talking print production, setup, plates, everything. Step and repeat. Even Figma, if you guys use Figma, has it incorporated. With step and repeat, you can duplicate the transformation. Okay, so why are we making 4 different variety of objects? Because I'm going to teach you the fundamental of object unite, or the object, what's it called, Pathfinder. So if you go to Window, open up the Pathfinder palette, please. Once it's there, you can dock it over on the side. These are all palettes you can access and close and move around. So if you open up the Pathfinder, oh, there it is. It's actually this little button right here. If it's not, you can literally drag it and dock it in your area. The Pathfinder is like no other, especially the first 4 options. So watch this. If I select these 2 circles here and I use the Pathfinder, it's going to unite them. If I select the second set of tools, of circles, I should say, and I select the second option here, it's going to subtract. It's called minus fronts. It subtracts the one in the front to the one on the back. It's like a cookie cutter. Cuts the cookie right now. So this cut that right out. If I do the third one, this one here, it does what's called intersection. It left whatever's in between behind. And if I do the last one, this is my least favorite, but it's there. This one just does that. Based on these 4 operational Pathfinder techniques, you can do a lot with logos, especially if I amalgamate that one and do something with it to create the MasterCard logo. But these are important because you can see all the logos I showed you earlier. All these logos that you see here, they all, I'm sure, use some form of Pathfinder to get them done. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. Okay, I can point out, like the domino, they punch the holes right through, the Windows logo, the Apple logo for sure. Okay, there's a lot of different techniques that they use to get these things done that way. Okay, so basically, and a lot of it is art, right? So I'm going to ask you to maybe, like, you know what, let's save this. Do a save as, and call this Pathfinder Techniques. And also, I want to teach you how to save a file properly in Illustrator. When you save an Illustrator file, always save the Illustrator native version first. It's Illustrator AI. There's also EPS and PDF and all the other ones. But just do Illustrator for now, all the time. Unless otherwise you're doing a website logo, you can do SVG or a PNG. And that's another option for that. Just do Illustrator AI onto the desktop, save. And save it as the 2020 version. Right. Now we're going to clear our design board. We're going to select everything. You know what's another way to select everything? Control A. Just like your standard Control A shortcut that works in almost every program that I can think of. Even when you type text in Microsoft Word, you press Control A, you select all your text. In here, you press Command A, you select all your objects, hit delete, they're gone. Okay, the next thing is we're going to do a similar thing. The circles. We're going to create one here. Go to the black arrow tool, option drag it over there. So you select the 2. This one's going to be the darker orange one, or the reddish orange. This time we're going to move it to the top left corner. And watch this. Option drag it here. So you have another copy on the corner. We're doing 2 sets this time. The difference between this set and that set is the bottom one, we're going to use the Pathfinder intersect tool. This is the intersect, which means we're left with this one piece that goes right over here. I don't know if you know how the MasterCard logo looks like. You might have a MasterCard. Well, the newer one doesn't have this piece, but the old one does. So this one will be a color in between the two. Actually, I think it's this one. And this one is the darker one. So there's two sets of, this is more like an orange. This is more like an orange yellow. This is more like a red. So this color is over here. This color is in the middle. And this color is at the end. So the orange is at the far end there. And if I type in MasterCard logo, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, let me just make sure oh, there it is. Okay. So there's what we're trying to do here. Okay. The MasterCard logo has a red, like an orange, and a light orange. Basically 3 different variations of it. That's what I'm trying to do by doing the same tricks I showed you earlier. Just select both of them with shift. Just copy. Let me back it up a bit. Maybe I did a little. Good thing I don't have a coffee this evening. Oh my God, I'll be flying all over the place. Okay, ready? Let me do it one more time. Okay, let me back it up a bit. So you have one set, right? One set. You need to have 2 sets. One to make the intersection, one to keep the original. Make 2 sets right away, okay? Next step, we're gonna use the Pathfinder to extract the middle of the second set. To do that, we're gonna use this one here. It says this one, remember the intersect one? To create that one that we need, the leftover piece, right? And this can go in here, and this can go right in the middle, right? And this is the color that we're trying to find that's gonna pretty much coincide with all the other colors. So this will be the brighter orange, you know what I mean? And you know what else? The stroke needs to be eliminated. So we're gonna select all 3. And how do you take out the black outline? You go over here where the stroke is. Okay, so this is how you take away fill or stroke. On top left corner, there's a little box with the red line that goes across. It says none. That means no stroke. If you go to that none, or you can actually go even here, there's no stroke. So again, if you select this over here, this is the stroke. Look, I can have like a blue stroke, or I can have no stroke. It's clever how we left this in between, so we have the MasterCard logo all designed. And when you're done with this step so far, group it. So Command G or right click and group. And I'm gonna walk around and make sure you guys all did this. Right click. Or just now, whatever. So you can see it. Okay? Front. I'll bring it in. Okay. So it's got to be to the front, obviously, right? Then they can take out this. Okay. Still, a lot of you are using the trackpad. Listen, I love the trackpad when I surf the internet at home. Okay. When we do this kind of stuff, I need a mouse because I can hold option, control, click, shift. I can do so many things with the mouse. If you're not used to it, trust me, it takes a little time, but once you do, you can't go back because it's production stuff, right? Production stuff, it's like going to work with your hands bending back. Your boss will tell you, what are you doing? With your hands like this, to work, right? You gotta get your hands involved. Are you still sick? Maybe on your preferences. How about press control plus? Control plus. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, maybe it's your video card monitor, something technical. Google it. Sorry, I don't want to tell you this. I don't like to tell students to Google stuff, but that's the kind of stuff I would look. Good. Okay. And make sure you move it right to the front. Yeah. Take out the stroke, and we accomplish the main design for the logo. Make sure it's grouped, right? Because you don't want to accidentally break this thing up. Right? Now we're going to move this over here to the top. You want to make like a credit card thing, you can do a rectangle tool. You can go all the way from here to there. And this could be the strip. So now you design like a card, right? And yeah, how do you think they make the cards? That's how. Somebody does it in Illustrator. I can't think of another program that they would use to make a credit card. Does it teach you how to load the balance too? Okay. Illustrator doesn't do that. But what you can do though is put the typography in there, because we gotta put like write down MasterCard or something. Usually they just put the logo, but let's put some type. So I teach you how to do that as well. So we have go to the type tool, the T for type. So this is how you use the type. Now that you're comfortable using objects, Pathfinder shapes, colors, strokes, arrangements, grouping, ungrouping, resizing, following the criteria. See, it's all flowing nicely, right? Now you're going to use the type tool to create like the letterhead itself. So with the type tool, it's tricky. You gotta pay close attention to this one, because you can do two things. You can either you can click and drag the mouse to create what's called a text box. And a text box is when you put like, content. Usually lorem ipsum is the default content. So you can say, hello there, how are you today, right? See? What happens is when you have a text box, look, you can resize it and the text flows nicely inside the text box. Pretty user-friendly for putting content, like creating a greeting card, maybe even a website prototype, creating some kind of a, message. It's good. But it's not treated like a Word. You can resize and edit and make it into a logo, playful design. So to do that, you don't draw a text box, okay? Don't draw a text box. If you do it, the intention should be to do this. To make a wordmark logo, or like a one word to edit proper, you just click once. You click once, and then you type MasterCard. Now, whatever the font by default, you should have Myriad Pro. Myriad Pro is a pretty decent font. It's like Helvetica, very similar. It does have different styles. Styles means you can make it like light, you can make it bold, regular, semi-bold, semi-bold italic, right? You can do lots of different formats with it. Another special treatment when you have fonts is this. You can grab the corner and you can resize it instantly. Now be careful, hold shift, otherwise it's gonna look like very poorly transformed. So if you hold shift, it's always going to constrain, especially fonts and images. You should always keep the proportions. Because one way you can tell something that's unprofessional is when you see something distorted, you know this person didn't take care of their fonts or their images or their graphics. So make sure you always hold shift when you do that. I'm going to move it all the way up here, right? Here we go. Now, if you notice, the logo is like white instead of a black fill, so we're going to change it from black to white. But the black will act as a nice drop shadow, like an accent. So we're going to actually go, you know what we'll do actually? Change it back to black for a second. Right? Zoom in. Oh, is this perfectly centered? Like, how do I know it's perfectly centered? I'm talking vertical and horizontal. How do I center this perfectly to the logo? Okay. Align up here. So if I align it, what do we do? It's going to go like this, like that. How's it going to align? So align has a reference. Align it to what? Align it to the page or align it to the objects that are being selected. So you have to obviously select the objects and the selection. So basically you have to do this. You have to make a selection and select everything here. Everything means the MasterCard slogan, like the type, and the circles. Now that everything is selected, oh, and this is grouped, right? If it's not grouped, it's going to mess up on you, so make sure it's grouped. Make sure this is grouped. Make sure this is selected with that together. If you look up here now, this here, I know it's a very tedious, small little button. This, make sure it says align to selection. Make sure it says the object or artboard. It's not going to give you the same results. So when you do that, now you can comfortably go over here. Look at this. Horizontal align center. Vertical align center. That was pretty close. But now it's perfect. Another reason why professionals love using Illustrator, because it's just so easy to execute perfection. Alignments, objects, type, anything. Now we're going to deselect. Deselect means click away. See, deselecting is just as important as selecting. Because if you have something selected, you can accidentally delete it, change the value or the color or something. But if you deselect it, that means you're safe now. Nothing can happen or go wrong. Okay, click on the MasterCard board. Okay. Copy, Control-C or Command-C. Paste, Command-V, Control-V. Oh, did it like offset it for you? Change it to white instead of black. And move it with the arrows like this. Look, left, left, right, right, up, down. Or you can use it with the mouse slightly, because the drop shadow should look like this. This is called an offset. When you do an offset, it means you're creating an accent to make the text pop out a little more. You see this very hidden little trick behind, you go to Shoppers Drug Mart, or you go to like No Frills or whatever. You see a lot of these logos, packaging, a lot of these keys like this to elevate the word so it's more legible. If you see that small little thing we did, makes this a lot more predominant than before. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. What do you do for when you paste it? It goes right.
Good question. So what was paste? Command V. Why is paste V, not P? How come they didn't use Command P for paste? Why V? Who makes these decisions? Because P is for print. Everyone uses print. Nobody does paste. No, print. But now there's no more print, right? So my question, to answer your question, paste in front is Command F. If you press Command F, it'll paste right in front of the shape. If you press Command B, it'll paste to the back of the shape. But honestly, I didn't want to get into this because you asked me, right? I was gonna give you an answer if I can. But Command F is a good one to know now because you might want to paste it exactly in the front. Let me show you again. See, look, if I delete this, if I copy this here, look, if I copy this and I press Command F instead of V, it's going to paste it in the front. But you won't see it because it's right on top of it. So the only way to see it is if you go nudge, nudge, or move, move, and then change the color. Then you can see it better. Yes? Good question too, because similar question was asked earlier, the increment of zooming, scrolling. I think the preferences can change that. Because here's another reason, everyone. This is a business card, we're zoomed in. You don't want to change the default because later it will be too slow. This is adequate for the proportion of what we're doing. Because if you zoom out, honestly, if you zoom out and if you want to move this up and down, like, you know what I mean? You don't want it too slow. But to answer your question, to change the increments of moving things around the page, I believe it's under settings, preferences. Go to general, and here's your keyboard increment, 0.139. I'm going to make mine 0.125 maybe, okay? So this will make it a lot more gentle when you move things, because I'll teach you the fast one with shift. Did you find the zoom one? Sorry? Where was it? Here? User interface, maybe? I like to know because somebody asked me that question before. But anyways, it's under here. Because look, if you want to move something, by the way, these should be grouped. How do I group these two now? How do I select these two things? You ready for this one? I don't know if you noticed, but I have special glasses I bring every day. These ones here, they can see through objects and walls, right? If you press Command Y, you can see right through everything, you see? Like that. That's your X-ray vision glasses. You guys have glasses too. So press Command Y, it's like a switch, on and off. Under View, Preview, Outline. This you can see, sorry, Outline. Use Command Y or Control Y. When you do that, you can easily then select only okay. You got to watch me carefully here. Look. See, this is how you can select the objects without disturbing the background. I know it looks very technical and stuff, but this is good for you to know. Because if you want to select only these two without affecting the group, you can zoom into the corner and make a selection to only select those two things. Then you can group them, Command G. You can zoom out. And then press Command Y. And you can see how this is now grouped together on top of that. All right. So this was a good exercise because now you get to know how to do a word mark, a little drop shadow effect, using typography properly, choosing different styles and fonts, grouping, ungrouping, nudging, pasting in place, all that stuff. Very important. Save this as, do a save as, and this will be called, call it MasterCard exercise. You can save this on the desktop as well as an Illustrator file. To what? Oh, Command Y, Control Y. Yeah. To go back, you can go to Outline or Preview. Let's grab a break. 15 minutes, okay? All right, 15 minutes, then we can just finish earlier too. And I'm also gonna all right. I see some people joining me online. Hello, hello. So we're gonna grab a quick break and we're gonna be coming back. Yes. Let's come here.